So for me, growing up, in my mind, I lived with a Superman. In my case, Superman was about 5'9", had piercing blue eyes, a mustache, and a pot belly. And that Superman was my father, firefighter Robert J. Crawford. He was a firefighter for 32 and a half years on September 11th, and he was murdered in the South Tower. Having a father who was a firefighter, you get to be part of a world that a lot of people don't experience. For a young boy, one of the best worlds you could experience. One of my fondest memories, I was 7 years old. I'm the youngest of 5. My dad came, I think it was a Tuesday night, on a school night no less, at about 11 o'clock with the fire truck. Woke us all up in PJs, put us all in the fire truck, turned the lights and sirens on, drove around the neighborhood, woke up all the neighbors. They weren't too fond of that, but you can only imagine 7 years old, that was one of the greatest experiences of my life. Bring your parent to school day, 4th grade, Mrs. Wallach, tyrant that she was. That's why I still call her Mrs. Wallach. Told my father, sure you could come by, just do me a favor, don't bring any of the dangerous stuff, like the axes, the pikes, the pole arms. He said, sure, no problem, Roberta. He said that because she didn't like it when he called her by the first name. The next day, what did he do? He brought the axe, the pike, the pole arms, all of that stuff. So now I have all my 4th grade friends using an axe to chop a desk, poking each other with the pole arms, walking around in the boots, tripping over themselves. She's having a stroke, but all your buddies now want to be your best friend because your dad's a hero, right? Firefighters do 2 things really well. They save people and they cook. As a youngster, I was really good at 2 things myself, getting hurt and eating. So it was always a nice thing to go to the firehouse with my dad. So now fast forward to September 11th. At this point in my life, I have a brother who's a cop, a sister who's a cop, and my father. I was out of town at the time. No cell phones worked. Bridges and tunnels were all closed. I see this happening on TV. I know my father's working. I don't know about my brother or my sister. Couldn't get in touch with anybody. It was a very difficult day. About 2 o'clock in the morning, my brother finally got through to me. I was very happy to hear his voice. He said, I'm fine, Rachel's okay, but we can't find Dad. I said, well, Dad's a firefighter. He's not going to stop and make a phone call. He's busy saving people. He said, no, you don't understand. I'm here now. I'm at the site. I'm with what's left of the people he worked with. They don't know where he is. They can't find him. You have to get here as soon as you can. Next 2 days were very hazy. I don't remember much. I'm Irish and Italian. I remember a lot of food and a lot of booze. September 13th, there would be a phone call that would kind of snap me out of that haze. My mother answered the phone, and she just said, he's alive, and she dropped to her knees and made a sound that I will never forget. Everybody started cheering. I said, how do you know? And she said, oh, Aunt Joan told me. I said, well, how would Aunt Joan know before the fire department? Till we bring him home, let's not get our hopes up. My brother and I came to the site, and when we got here, they had little ad hoc command posts set up all over the site. And we just went from one command post to the other, looking for my father. Bobby Crawford, 11904, Safety Battalion. Have you heard anything? Have you seen anything? I'd say, no, but check this command post, and we'd run to the next one. And as time went by, I got actually more and more angry. I found myself getting angry with the firefighters because I knew this is what they did. They saved people's lives for a living. And I fully expected them to say, yeah, we got your dad right here, along with everybody else. And when that didn't happen, I started to get frustrated because I thought I'd be bringing my dad home. And took quite some time. Later in the day, we realized we were here for a long time. We hadn't stopped. We hadn't drank anything. We sat across the street. And that was the first moment that I actually looked at where we were and what happened here. And it was at that moment that I saw this look on these first responders' faces that really scared me. It was the look that I had on my face, same as my brother, sheer confusion, sheer terror. And every single first responder had that same exact look. And at that moment, just like that, I knew nobody was coming out of this place alive. And one of those people was my father. How do you go home to your sisters and your mother empty-handed without your dad? Definitely the hardest moment of my life. And at that moment I realized, I said, you know what, if this is what we're capable of, I don't want to be a part of this human race anymore. How could you want to do something like this to so many people? My father represented the very best humanity had to offer. I'm not saying that because he's my father, I'm just saying that because that's how it was. My mother used to say my father could work for the CIA. He would never tell you what he was doing. And we found out because my father had a saying. He used to say, if you did a good deed and you got credit for it, then it didn't count. At my father's memorial, we saw 3 homeless people in the back of the church. And I went over to him. I said, you know Bobby? I said, yeah. He said, you mind me asking how? I said, oh, he used to always bring us food all the time. Never told anybody. That's how he lived his life. So that was one of the people that was murdered here that day. As I was having that thought, some lady who lived in the neighborhood rides by on a bike with a basket in the front. She didn't know what she could do. She decided that she was going to make sandwiches and get bottles of water and put them in that basket and hand them out to whoever wanted them. This may sound crazy, but believe it or not, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich saved my life. Because as bad as we can be, we are that much better. And if you take away anything from what I say today, remember that. Never give up hope. My father was taken from me, but I carry him with me every day, and now so do you. Thank you.